Welcome to Medicare Fraud Prevention Week, which is hosted by the Senior Medicare Patrol. We're celebrating the final day of learning about what personal and medical identity theft are and how these can affect you. So I'd like those of you who have joined already to imagine someone stealing your name, your personal information, to wipe out your bank account, or even using it to bill for medical treatment you didn't need and you didn't receive, which can ruin your health record. Maybe this has happened to you, or maybe someone that you know. There are millions of reports annually related to identity theft. Today, we're discussing prevention tips and resources related to personal and medical identity theft. So as I had mentioned, the S&P is celebrating Medicare Fraud Prevention Week, and today, the last day of MFPW, is June 5th. This event takes place each year during the week of June 5th, or 6/5, because most people become eligible for Medicare when they turn 65. Medicare Fraud Prevention Week focuses on the actions that everybody can take to prevent Medicare fraud, errors, and abuse. It's hosted by the Administration for Community Living and the Senior Medicare Patrol. I'm Nicole Liebau, and I work at the S&P National Resource Center, which assists the 54 senior Medicare patrols around the country with training, technical assistance, and national program visibility. So I'm so happy to be here today and to celebrate the final day of our week, along with the Federal Trade Commission and the Identity Theft Resource Center.
Thanks, Nicole. My name's Mona. I am the Chief Operating and Programs Officer at the Identity Theft Resource Center, also known as the ITRC. And we are a nonprofit organization that helps consumers understand, prevent, and recover from identity theft, and that includes medical identity theft. I lead our victim services work, and our team last year worked directly with over 6,000 new individuals, providing them with free personalized recovery plans. And we're super excited today to join S&P and FTC to talk about how people can protect their personal and their medical identities.
Hi, and I'm Gemma de las Heras, and I work for the Federal Trade Commission's Division of Consumer and Business Education. The Federal Trade Commission, or FTC's mission is to protect consumer, but it also has oversight over issues related to privacy, and that includes identity theft, which is our focus today. Last year, the Federal Trade Commission received 1.3 million identity theft reports, and that's an increase from 1.1 million in 2024. So I am very glad to be here today in such great company and to bring awareness to this important issue and share some resources that you can use to protect yourself and also to recover if it happens from identity theft. So today we're going to be talking about both personal and medical identity theft. So I'm going to start off with what is identity theft. Identity theft happens when someone uses your personal or financial information without your permission to do things like buy stuff with your credit cards, maybe get new credit cards in your name. Maybe they open a phone, electricity, or a gas account in your name. They could steal your tax refund, maybe use your health insurance to get medical care. And we're going to be talking more about that in a minute. They might even pretend to be you if they get arrested. So I want to hand this over to you now, Mona, because you can tell us more about what makes up an identity.
Yeah, thanks, Hema. So when we look at an identity, we look at it as three different layers. So most people think about identities as your driver's license, your social security number, your passport. The way we look at it is there's basic and kind of publicly available information like your name, your date of birth, your address. Then there is those unique identifiers that most people are used to, like your social security number, your Medicare number, your driver's license. And then there's another layer, which is your account credentials. So things like your usernames, your passwords, PINs that you're given. Not all of that encompasses your identity. So a thief really only needs just a few pieces from each of those to start causing damage. And with your social security number specifically, people with that can access financial accounts, Medicare accounts, and can cause some real harm. The way we see that those identities are stolen mostly is through data breaches, through scams where someone was tricked into sharing their information. And we're seeing physical theft, so just actual theft of documents and people stealing mail. So when we look at adults who are 65 and older specifically, scams are the biggest way that identity thieves are getting that information. 26% of people over 65 were involved with someone deceiving them into sharing their personal information. And usually, what they do is they pretend to be a government agency or they pretend to be specifically from the Social Security Administration or from Medicare. And then the second highest or really high is account takeover, and that's any type of account. That could be a medical account, any personal account. That is the number one type of misuse for older adults at 34%, and that's higher than any other age group. Hema, can you tell us about the different types of identity theft?
Sure. So, I mean, there are different types of identity theft, and we'll, be focusing on medical identity theft as one of them. It could be tax identity theft, and there are others. But medical identity theft is when someone uses your personal information, things like your name, your social security number, your health insurance account number, or your Medicare number, and they get medical care in your name. So identity thieves could use your information to see a doctor. They could get prescription drugs, buy medical devices, or submit claims with your insurance provider. And if the thief's health information is mixed with yours, it could really affect the medical care that you're able to get, the health insurance benefits that you're able to use because they'll be using some of your benefits. So not only that, but medical identity theft could also hurt your credit. So it could affect your benefits, and it could also affect your credit. Mona, I know this is sort of broad, but maybe you can give us some examples of the types of cases that you see.
Yeah, specifically regarding Medicare, we had a woman who was in Arizona who found that a company was billing her Medicare for medical supplies that she never ordered. Her supplement plan caught it, thank goodness, and told her it was fraudulent, but that was the way she found out. We had another victim in Michigan who discovered that someone in Florida had used her Medicare number and name to get medical treatment. And then she was also getting texts from a doctor's office in South Carolina saying that she owed them money. And then the one that was the most concerning, I feel like, to us that we heard about last year at least, was a woman who that someone ordered hospice care through her Medicare that she never requested. So she had three separate insurance plans, and every single one of them were affected because of that unauthorized hospice order. So we know with medical identity theft, it's not just billing issues and it's not just finances that are impacted, but it's people's health care that are specifically impacted. Nicole, I believe you also had some other examples.
Yeah, we recently had a beneficiary from Florida as well that had contacted the Senior Medicare Patrol, and they had reported claims of skin substitutes on their Medicare statements. And it was something they didn't need, they didn't receive, and they never requested. And this specific case was unique because this provider, this whoever they were, had billed over $600,000 in wound care to one beneficiary. And so that beneficiary was responsible for a big portion of that, even if Medicare, pays for part of it. And again, this can be medical identity theft that is layered with other concerns for people because they might not be able to pay those claims and get turned into collections and have many, many other issues. So that was one example that we've recently seen. And so with these examples, I just want to talk about some warning signs, red flags that people can be on the lookout for medical identity theft. And some of the things at the Senior Medicare Patrol that we like to tell people is, finding charges on or claims on your Medicare statements for things that you didn't receive, specifically even equipment. In the example I just gave, a service. Never knew that was going to be billed, never went to a doctor for it, but it showed up on their Medicare statement. Receiving bills for any medical services that you didn't have, you weren't aware of, and just finding incorrect information on your medical records. Or one of the things that can be very detrimental is being denied services for a needed procedure or something that you need because there was inaccurate things billed to your healthcare. So yeah, in the medical identity theft pieces are really important. But Mona, can you tell us a little bit more about the personal identity theft and some of those red flags and warning signs?
Yeah, the personal identity theft signs are pretty similar to medical identity theft. So one of the biggest warning signs we see is that people don't find out that they were victims of identity theft until they needed something. So they were applying for benefits, they were denied. They were maybe applying for a home or a car or to rent a place, and their credit score is too low. Things like that, right? So it's really being told by someone else or finding out the hard way that someone's committed identity theft using their information. We know that with medical identity theft specifically, 42% of people found out because their insurer notified them. So all the red flags that you said, as far as looking at statements and things like that, are really, really important. We know that for adults 65 and older, 49% of those cases, almost half, involved a compromised social security number. And like I talked about before, because social security numbers are tied to Medicare and tied to financial identity theft, it's really important that those things are flagged, or at least that we're taking a look at what might be happening. Hema, did you have some other ideas of how personal identity theft can be spotted?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there are some ways in addition to everything that you both have mentioned, in terms of generally identity theft. If you see charges for things that you didn't buy on your bank account or credit card statement, maybe you're getting a new bill that you didn't expect, your bank account maybe has some withdrawals that you didn't make. Those are all signs that there might be some identity theft issue, or maybe you stop getting a bill. That could be a sign that someone changed your billing address and is misusing your information. So it's very important to read your statements regularly. I know a lot of us are now, paperless, so we just have everything online, but it's important to take a look at those statements from time to time, to make sure that everything there are charges that you made. And sign up for text or email alerts from your credit card or your bank. That helps you. If they see any unusual activity, you'll get a text message or an alert, and that might help you spot identity theft as well.
Thanks, Hema. I think that a lot of the things that you've identified for red flags are also ways that you can protect your information, right? We get people who ask us a lot of times, how do you prevent this from happening? Unfortunately, you can't prevent everything. The identity thieves are sneaky, but you can take some protective steps. So definitely reviewing your Medicare summary notices, reviewing medical bills or any explanation of benefits for charges. We know that's a lot of times how people find out. So just really being on top of those statements is not only are red flags spotted there, but it's a good way to protect yourself, is just to make sure that you check those regularly. Another thing that you can do is just make sure that you don't give out your information over the phone to anybody unsolicited. Medicare doesn't call, and no government agency will call and ask for your information. So if someone does ask for your information on the phone, it's someone who's calling you or someone who's emailing or texting you. Feel free to stop and reach out to them individually yourself rather than responding to someone who's contacting you. We know that, right, we talked about billing statements. If possible and if people are comfortable, we always encourage them to set up online accounts. Hema, you had talked about kind of, right, everything going online. We know that setting up a Medicare.gov account, if you haven't already, and checking that is also a great way to do it. We know that identity thieves are getting tricky. I know we've had older adults that come to us and go, well, I'm not comfortable. I know that my identity was stolen online. I don't feel comfortable setting up an online account. Unfortunately, we know that thieves are getting enough personal information that they're setting up the online accounts on behalf of those victims. So we always encourage people, even if it's not something that you use regularly, you can lock some of those accounts down, but to sign up for those online accounts yourself and make sure that you're checking them at least once a month. And then freezing your credit is another great way to make sure that financial identity theft isn't happening. So freezing them at all of the three credit bureaus, plus check systems is where a lot of financial institutions go to check for credit with checking accounts. So freezing those credit reports are also, a really, really important way. Hema, did I miss anything?
No, I mean, what you cover is great. The only thing I would maybe reinforce in terms of the um, sharing your social security number is to ask questions. You know, if someone's asking you for your social security number, it's okay to ask them, you know, do you really need it? Or what do you need my social security number for? And how are they planning to protect your social? How are you planning to protect my social security number, my information? And if you don't get answers to those questions, or if you're not satisfied with the answers to those questions, don't give your number, you don't give your information, don't share your number. And of course, as you mentioned before, never share your information with someone that contacts you unexpectedly. Other things that you can do is to keep important documents in a safe place, your social security number, your Medicare card, keep them in a safe place, and other documents that have personal information too. If you're ever needing to get rid of some documents that have personal information on them, make sure that you shred them before you throw them away. Also, protect your online accounts using strong passwords, two-factor authentication. That two-factor authentication really offers an extra layer of protection. It requires you to have, you know, a password and maybe your face, scan your face, or maybe a password and send you a code. But that, you know, that extra step might really help to protect yourself. And also monitor your credit report, and you can do that for free at annualcreditreport.com. So, Nicole, I know it's time for us to get into the steps that people can take um, to like, what can they do if their personal information is misused?
Yeah, so if your medical or personal information has been used in a manner that you think is fraudulent, with medical, first I would check with your healthcare provider if something was billed. If it's personal identity theft, check with your bank immediately. Just see if it's an error, because sometimes errors are made. And then to go from there, if it is Medicare related, healthcare related, you can call the Senior Medicare Patrol. They do assist people with contacting Medicare to get your health record corrected, but then they also report the potential fraud to the appropriate law enforcement entities. And then also, if it's personal identity theft, well, and medical, or you can report to the FTC as well under identitytheft.gov. So those are a few things that you can do. It could look very different for different people if something potentially happens. So again, it's always good to, uh, even if you have a question, I recommend if it's healthcare or medical related to call the Senior Medicare Patrol. They can help navigate that with you. And so Hema, what if somebody gets a notice from a provider and your information and there was a data breach, or maybe there was something that was lost or stolen, but there's no indication of that information or it being misused. What can people do in these cases besides the identitytheft.gov reporting it there?
Yeah, so I think identitytheft.gov is a great place to start. As you said, if your identity theft was stolen, you can file a report there. But identitytheft.gov now offers two other options that you can select right from the main page there. You can select how to deal with a data breach, or also you can browse the steps, the recovery steps, if you're just looking for information and you're not sure. So if your information was compromised, but there's no indication that it has been used by anyone else, you don't have to file an identity theft report yet. But there are other steps that you can take. First, you want to check your credit reports to see if anyone used your information. And then you want to, Mona mentioned the credit freeze. You want to freeze your credit to make it harder on anyone to use it in the future. And of course, you want to continue monitoring your credit. You can do all of that. You can check your credit for free at annualcreditreport.com. on a weekly basis. But if you're like me, you're probably thinking, well, that's a lot to remember. That's a lot of URLs you're giving us, right? Well, to simplify, just remember identitytheft.gov. And from there, you can just navigate to the page where you can get your free credit reports, and also for the information on how to deal with a data breach, or also how to file an identity theft report. I want to say that following a data breach, sometimes companies will offer free credit monitoring. If they offer you that option, accept it, because it's free, and they may offer you to monitor your credit for a year or two. So that's always something that you can accept. And of course, I think it's important for everyone to save the contact information that the two of you are also sharing, to get in touch with SMP and to get in touch with the Identity Theft Resource Center, because if you need assistance with the process, you're going to get more help there. So talk to us about that, Mona. I know you guys you offer a lot of help for that.
Yeah, we're happy to help. Thanks, Emma. So if you have spoken with Senior Medicare Patrol and you've gotten your issues addressed there, you've gone to the FTC and gotten your identity theft report and read all their resources, and you still feel like, gosh, I just really need to talk to somebody, we're happy to step in and help with that. So all the information that we offer is for free. So if you need a recovery plan because you know someone's misusing your information, you need just to talk through some of those prevention steps that you read about, yeah, feel free to call us. You can call us. We have a toll-free number. It's 888 400 5530. If you don't feel comfortable talking to someone, you can go to our website, which is idtheftcenter.org. You can email us, you can text us at that 888 number. Any way that you need to reach out, we are happy to help walk you through, whether it's I think I'm doing the right thing, but I'm not sure and I just need some reassurance. Or it's I'm dealing with something really serious and I'm really overwhelmed and I need someone to walk me through what steps I need to take. It doesn't matter. Our office is open Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. But anyone can leave a message, and our turnaround time is about 24 hours. Again, it's free, and we're happy to sit with people for as long as it takes to help recover or to protect their information. Whatever that looks like for anyone, we're happy to take those steps and walk them through for as long as is needed.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Hema and Mona. I think, that kind of concludes what we have for today. But I want to thank you both for joining this Facebook Live in celebration of our Medicare Fraud Prevention Week. It's a big week for us. And I also just want to thank all the viewers that joined us today. Please be sure to educate someone besides yourself. Get the word out about personal and medical identity theft. It affects a lot of people. And don't forget to follow any of our social media pages, especially the SMP page today, as it's our final day of the week of our celebration. And just keep up on the latest fraud trends that are happening to protect yourselves, and find out any of the new red flags that could be happening in any of this type of fraud or medical identity and personal identity theft. It is an evolving topic. So thank you. We'll see you all soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.